You know, there are moments in a superstar's career where we can literally pinpoint literally the moment that superstar was ruined to the point of no return. For instance, you guys remember New Year's Eve Big Show baby? Just a few years back when the Big Show was dressed up as a baby, literally diapers and all, sucking on his thumb or a pacifier or whatever he was sucking on, but it was Big Show baby. And you knew right there that even though he was dancing with irrelevancy for years beforehand, we still held out the hope that Vince McMahon would see the enormity in the Big Show and give that character some type of consistency that we would give a damn about. But once we saw New Year's Eve baby Big Show, we knew, there ain't no coming back from this. He will forever be known as a joke. Braun Strowman last night. Vince McMahon has been toying with making Braun Strowman an absolute joke for the longest time, right? We've seen Braun Strowman in main events, and then the next day, he's winning tag team championships with a 10-year-old. We've seen Braun Strowman put back in the main event, and then the following night, he's throwing temper tantrums backstage. Vince McMahon has done everything under his wing and under his power to make Braun Strowman look like an absolute clown. But last night, Vince McMahon put the final nail in place, and all he needed to do then was drop the hammer down on it. And that's what he did when last night, after Braun Strowman's 6-man schmoz team match, Braun Strowman tried to break it down, bust a move, and dance with the New Day. That's right, I'm not making that up. Listen to my words, because this actually happened on SmackDown last night. Braun Strowman danced with the New Day to the point where Big E and Kofi couldn't even dance with him. They were in their corners laughing out hysterically at Braun. And that tells you all you need to know about where the Braun character goes from here. Because you can say, BC, that was funny. I was entertained by it. That's great. I mean, I'm sure we all for a moment had to laugh at the absurdity in it. I can fucking speak. It's got me all fucking muffled. We could all laugh at how humiliating that is for a giant that was once coined and probably still after last night will still be coined the monster among men. But what I was viewing was the dancer among men. We don't want to see our monsters dancing like cornballs in that ring. We don't want to see our monsters looking like an absolute sideshow at a circus. But that's what Braun Strowman was made to look like last night. You had Kofi and Big E laughing out loud hysterically at what they were viewing. Just imagine what the audience at home was viewing. This was my 5 seconds watching that. This was my face. If you guys wanted to know, this was my reaction. This is no embellishing this. There's no exaggeration. This was how I viewed it. I was in awe, not in a good way. In awe that they would absolutely take this dude, the size and magnitude of that character and what it could have been, and put him in that simplistic of a segment that made him look like a clown. That tells you straight from the jump what they think about Braun Strowman, and that also tells you that creative had nothing for somebody like Braun Strowman. So let's put him with the New Day, and let's have this giant dance around, just like they did with the Big Show. Big Show baby for New Year's Eve, right? Vince likes to take his big dudes and turn them into absolute sideshows because that's what Vince looks at them as anyway. And the bad thing is, if you think that was funny and BC, that was just for one night, just relax and be entertained, guys, Vince McMahon will take something like that and you won't hear the end of it for the longest time. Boombox Brock, for instance, he just did that on his own because it's Brock Lesnar. The dude's a little bit loopy in his own world. That's what we love about Brock. But once Vince saw Boombox Brock, we saw Boombox Brock for another month plus afterwards. His next 4 to 5 appearances, you had to hear some reference and see something about Boombox Brock. They even had t-shirts made up for Boombox Brock. We didn't need to see that 3, 4, 5 fucking times. But that's what Vince will do. He'll jump on that. But Brock Lesnar is the type of dude that can bounce back from that because he's Brock fucking Lesnar. Braun Strowman has not had that type of consistency with his character, so he cannot be ruined like he was last night. You cannot have him dancing around like a sideshow freak when he hasn't even been established. He's supposed to be a monster among men. And I got people saying, at least it was entertaining, BC. It was fun for the night. But you're not thinking about the long term. You're being short-sighted in what you're actually viewing. Yes, it may have been fun to you. I don't know how. That A means you're easily entertained. And B, it also means that you don't care about the longevity of someone's character. Because where do you think Braun goes from here? If he wins a championship over Brock Lesnar or Bray Wyatt, are you honestly gonna believe that? The dude's a dancing clown now. We already knew he was always just throwing temper tantrums backstage anyway. But where do you think this goes from here? You can just have fun for the moment and be entertained. That's great. I'm thinking about the character. Somebody of the magnitude, or what should have been anyway, of Braun Strowman. And what that could have been for this company, for the business. And that's what they had for him last night. It is at that moment, trust me, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, when it just comes to you out of the blue one day, oh, remember Braun Strowman? What happened to him? You can go back to that night when he started busting a move just to get the quick pop from the crowd, just to get some laughter. Because that's what happens when you try to get a cheap pop. That's what happens when you put all your chips on the table for one moment, for that one big payday, right? My merch that you see underneath this video. I could easily, right now, I have the authority over Teespring to cut all my prices on a big sale, 50% off. I could literally right now sell 100 shirts over on Teespring. All my merch, half off. Sell 100. 50% off, I would still bring in revenue-wise $1,250. Now, yes, I don't see all of that, obviously. Teespring gets most of that. But the point is, I could make $1,250 by slashing my prices in half and getting 100 people to buy my merch. $1,250 today. But instead, I refuse to put it on sale for that cheap pop, for that one big payday. Because I want to stay loyal to my brand. I want to have respect and dignity put on my brand. I put my merchandise on high quality, premium quality for a reason, because that's what it is. And my brand should be looked at as such. So I'd rather sell 5 today and only make 125. BC, you're missing out on over $1,000. That's bad business. Maybe to you it's bad business. Because up front, I'm not trying to get that initial big, huge payday. But longevity-wise, I'm looking at the long term and what the amplified man in my merch stands for. There's a lot of thought. There's a lot that goes on behind my merch and what it means and the message that I'm trying to portray, the quality, the fabric. It's not something that you can just put on sale for 50% off just so I can make some quick cash. No, I'm thinking long term. This merch has meaning behind it. And I'd rather somebody save up over time to be able to afford the $25 than somebody to just have $12 in their wallet and go, hey, I can get this now. It's gotta mean more. Where am I going with this? It's the same with characters or anything in life. But you look at Braun Strowman, you have to invest time, energy, and effort into Braun Strowman. In the short term, that might not pay off. But in the long term, it'll pay dividends. You have to believe in Braun and believe in your creative department. They don't believe in Braun and they don't believe in their creative. And that's the damn truth. And you saw it last night because they had nothing for him. They had him dancing around like a circus freak and they were with the New Day. Even the New Day had to laugh out loud hysterically at what they were fucking viewing. But it was a moment, BC. It was funny. Yeah. Congrats, because now Braun Strowman will be looked at as such. The monster among men is now the comedian among men, the dancer among men, the joke, the clown among men. If that's what you are okay with Braun Strowman, good for you. You got what you wanted last night. I expected, we needed more from the Braun Strowman character. I loved when he was flipping around ambulances and trailer trucks. taking out everybody backstage. That's the Braun we needed, and we would see it for a couple of months, and once the feud was done, they would just bring him into irrelevancy. Then we did it a couple more times. He was brought back into irrelevancy, and last night, he's dancing around moves I don't even fucking know, I've never even seen before, never want to see again. And my reaction, like many of you, were like, what the fuck? Maybe during that 5-second reaction, you cracked a little bit of a smile, but was that all worth it? You needed Braun Strowman to be in that role. You needed one of your biggest, strongest dudes to look like an idiot? Because that's what he did. Even if you enjoyed it, even if you thought it was fun, there's no way you're going to sell me that he looked cool or that it was okay. Oh, BC, that's the point. He's a big, strong dude getting in touch with his emotions and feelings, and he's breaking it down, BC. Okay, that's what I'll believe. So next time when he's going against Brock or Bray Wyatt, right, he couldn't even beat Brock Lesnar. He couldn't even last with Brock Lesnar more than a minute. Remember, he got beaten like a fucking minute, if even something like that. He didn't last long at all with Brock anyway. But now that he's a dancing clown, oh, I can't wait to see that rematch. A monster and a beast. Please, it got reduced to a dancer and a beast. The Fiend versus the Dancer. The Big Dog versus the Dancer. What's next? Braun Strowman on Dancing with the Stars? Is Braun gonna be then with Total Divas? Season number 67? I don't doubt anything with Vincent Kennedy last night. He proved that he is willing to put that final nail where it belongs, according to Vince's dome piece anyway, and he's willing to put that hammer down on it. And on somebody like Braun Strowman, that is absolutely a travesty to the umpth degree. Before we kick off, that was my opening monologue anyway. That's just something that absolutely frustrated me last night. But before we kick off this SmackDown review, I do want to tell you guys, make sure you are fucking subscribed. The tube is absolutely in peril lately more than ever. It's absolutely, I don't know if the tube is ever going to be totally rectified. That's how bad it is. And going into January, we already know, I put up a video for you guys. The tube is absolute. We don't even know if channels like this are even going to be around. I don't know what's going to happen in January. But I just know it's already begun, and literally I have people now more than ever telling me that they're being unsubscribed from the channel. Make sure every single day that you are subscribed, because we're in a battle right now with the tube. We're in a battle. They're trying to take people off. You guys got to make sure that it ain't happening. Not on our watch. Make sure you're always subscribed. Thank you so much, because this is a fucking battle like we have never fucking seen with the tube. And January in 2020, it's only gonna get fucking worse because they're in peril right now. They don't even know what they're doing. And channels in the process, especially smaller channels like mine that are still in the growing phase, right? I don't have the luxury like a lot of pro wrestling YouTubers in this community. They all started years and years ago, right? So they already had their base. A lot of them already have fucking 100, 150, 200,000 subs. They're fucking, right? They think they're gold. They're even fucking in the line of fire right now. They're even in peril. Their channels are at risk as well. You're seeing people with 200,000 subs only pulling in 50, 60,000 views. Right? So just imagine what smaller channels like mine that just started a couple years ago and we're trying to gain traction, what they're trying to do to our channels, man. So it's very, very important that you guys always, amplified unit members, we got to stick together and really put up the fight on this. Now more than ever. So I just had to put out that little PSA, public service announcement for you guys. Now let's kick off the SmackDown review, if you don't mind, with our number one. We kicked off with Elias. He starts the show literally with his guitar in the middle of the ring and he's singing, that's right, singing all that is to come for later in the night. Everything from a moment of bliss to a triple threat match with Daniel Bryan, Miz, and Baron Corbin. Winner takes on The Fiend at the Royal Rumble. He's singing the whole fucking what's to come for the show. At first I was like, this is so dumb. But by the end, I was like, he nailed it. Elias actually did pretty good. If you read what he had to do for creative, he probably rolled his eyes. But he went out there and he pretty much nailed it. So that's good to see. However, it does not change the fact that much like the Street Profits are the hype men over on Raw, Elias is now just the hype guy over on SmackDown. Elias could have been and should have been a lot more to that company. And it's a damn shame that he's not. And now all they had for him creatively is to go in the middle of the ring with his guitar and tell everyone what's to come later on in the night with other people. Just like the Street Profits over on Raw are just good for slinging merch. Daniel Bryan is up first in action. This is going to be the triple threat match. We're about to kick it off. However, it never really gets underway. But I'll get to that in a second. The Yes Movement is alive and well at this point. The only thing that could possibly bring the mood down after D-bry's entrance would be Baron Corbin. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. Corbin ends up coming down the rampway. He is held up on his throne by 6 schlums as he talks gibberish for 3 minutes straight. Nobody even cares what he's talking about. Something about Roman or something about winning this match and going on to take on Bray Wyatt at the Rumble. Who knows and who cares? At this point, we're all on auto mute at this point. You know what auto mute is? That's when you don't even press any buttons. You just tune the mofo out. Earmuffs! Roman Reigns' music hits. That's the only thing that could shut this dude up at this point. The 6 schlums actually drop Corbin from his throne. That's probably the only funny part of the fucking night. So Corbin's pissed off. What are you doing dropping me? The dudes are like, we're sorry, we thought you wanted to get off. Roman appears out of nowhere, starts taking out Corbin, but Baron finds an opening and runs away through the crowd. That's your whole opening 20 minutes, no wrestling till this point. When we come back from commercial, we get a 6-man tag match. And by the way, we were not done with Corbin, Daniel Bryan, or The Miz. That was going to be a running theme for the rest of the night. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But when we came back from break, the first big commercial break, and after 20 minutes of SmackDown and seeing no wrestling, we finally get a 6-man schmaz match. The New Day and Braun Strowman taking on Shinsuke, Cesaro, and Sami Zayn. Cesaro was just a fucking animal in this match, as he usually is, but Kofi was being tossed around like one of his pancakes so many times in this match at the hands of Cesaro that it was really, really impressive to another degree. Literally, Kofi was just another pancake at that point, because Cesaro was an animal. The finish saw Kingston slam Shinsuke over his noggin with the pancake tray, and then Braun hits the power slam. So Shinsuke actually, even though he's the IC champion, he's got to eat the pin here and take the loss. Why not? He's only a champion. It's not like we have to make them look relevant or fucking strong. Let's have the champion eat the L. WWE booking, baby. Now, you guys know I can't stand 6-man schmazes, but this match was just really, really good. Everyone showed up in this match. Everybody was on point with one another. Everybody was working so well. Nobody screwed up at all in this match. It was so odd because there was a lot of moving parts and pieces to that puzzle. Nobody was fucking up. Everybody was on their A game. It's amazing what a little bit of Christmas vacation can do for you. Vacation meaning just a couple of days. But still, they came back firing on all cylinders. It was so awesome to see. So even though I'm not a fan of 6-man schmaz matches, and if you tell me on paper that I gotta watch these 6 men in that ring, I'm gonna pass. But they delivered, man. That was a really good match. And then, of course, post-match, Big E gets Braun to dance. The crowd starts chanting, "Get these hips." Instead of "get these hands," "get these hips," because that's what Detroit wanted to see. They wanted to see the big guy turn into a circus freak. Yeah, baby, because we haven't seen Vince McMahon do that enough with human beings in that company with his professional wrestling talent. So now we gotta see the monster among men turn into the dancer, the comedian, the joke among men. And that's what happens. Everybody gets these hips as Braun literally starts and attempts to break it down, bust a move, and dance. At one point he was doing the smackaroo. At one point he was lawn mowing maybe. Put his leg up. What do you call the fucking leg up thing? Was he even wheelbarrow? I don't even know what he was doing, man. I'm trying to forget it more and more as the moments pass. But I already went over the Braun thing. There's nothing left to say. It's a sad situation. The guy could have been something in this business, and instead he's dancing. And I'll get somebody else. Beastie, you're putting too much into it. Relax. A month from now, he'll be back in the fucking main event. Well, that's the problem then. That's the whole fucking problem. This yin-yang, 50-50 booking, little bit of a push, take him back 10 feet. That's not how you build anybody, brah. If that's how you built somebody, Braun would have already been a mega superstar to this point. There's a reason he's not. Because they tried all of this yin-yang 50-50 shit before with him multiple times. So even if Braun is in a main event at a pay-per-view in a few months, that also proves my point. You gotta think long-term. Backstage, Otis gives Mandy Rose a fruitcake that his mama made. The awkwardness between these two, Mandy and Otis, is just captivating. I love it. I really do. It's honestly just great. This needs to end with Mandy completely screwing Otis over. Wherever this storyline ends, it has to end with Mandy Rose totally screwing Otis over. Whether that means Mandy finds a couple of people to beat down on Otis and that sets up a tag match with Heavy Machinery and whoever Mandy Rose had found, or whatever it leads to. I can think of 100 awesome creative ideas with this type of a storyline because it just works with Mandy and Otis. And Otis is playing this off perfect. He's like a 10-year-old with his first crush. You know what I mean? And he's all awkward. He doesn't know what to do. He's having his own mama make her a cake. You know, it's embarrassing as fuck to anybody viewing it, but for Otis, you feel for him. And you have the ultimate pretty girl at school that's stringing him along. And then at the very end, she screws him over. That would create so much heat for Mandy and so much sympathy for Otis. It would honestly work wonders for both of them. It would literally propel them both to the moon. Again, the heat on Mandy for doing that to somebody we love and somebody we care about and have sympathy for in Otis, and she did that to him. And then on Otis's part, the sympathy. We already like Otis, but can you imagine after the most popular, hottest girl at school just did that to him, some dastardly deed? We want retribution for Otis. We'd be even more behind him. Oh man, they have something cool here. They're sitting on a gold mine. I know they just stumbled upon it, but they're sitting on it. I really hope they don't screw this up, man. I can think of 100 different ways to make this so fucking awesome, with the ultimate payoff being amazing for both participants and, more importantly, the fans as well. Next up was a Mandy Rose versus Carmella matchup. This match wasn't horrible. Not great, of course, but tolerable. That's an improvement. Mandy needs to work on her confidence more. I will fully admit that. Mandy needs to work on her confidence, meaning commitment to the move she's about to perform and trusting herself to go full throttle with said move. Because the hesitations are not only noticeable, but they're a distraction. And what I mean by that is you can see, if she's going in for a clothesline, she's waiting for her opponent to be right where she needs to be before she can actually go full throttle. If she's going for a roll-up, she needs to just go for it. You come to your opponent. If you're going for the clothesline and she's not totally turned, adjust, adapt, but go full throttle. If you're going for a body slam, you go for it. But your hesitations in waiting for the perfect moment, that's a hole in your game, and it's a distraction to the viewer. It's beyond noticeable. You have to commit. And that's what's going to make Mandy Rose a wrestler that is gaining traction, somebody who is improving by the week. That's what's going to make somebody who's just improving into somebody that's actually good. She's got the potential now more than ever. I don't know if I could have said that a year ago. Mandy needs to trust herself more and have that confidence. Don't wait for everything to come. Go for it. Everything will be fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to be protected. If you know what you're doing, you can adjust. You can come to them. But if you're in motion for a clothesline and they're not exactly where you need to be and you're stopping and you're stuttering and then you're going again, it makes everything really ugly. The best wrestlers know how to adjust and adapt while also going full throttle. She'll learn that, hopefully. The end of this thing was, Carmella. She wins via a super kick. So I guess I'm okay with that. I don't know. Mandy's in a storyline anyway, so I guess making her win would be the right decision, but instead they decided to go with Carmella. I can't think of a Carmella storyline right now, so I don't know what that really leads to. So in the end, I don't know what this match was really for. I guess beggars can't be choosers. At least it was tolerable and not a disaster. Let's go to hour number 2. Sip of coffee, please, guys, and then we'll start hour number 2. Thank you. So hour 2 begins and we retry this whole triple threat match concept yet again with Daniel Bryan in the ring. This is take 2, if you will. And due to what happened earlier with Roman and Corbin, Corbin refused to participate in this triple threat. So this was just a one-on-one match, D-bry versus Miz. Winner goes on to take on Bray Wyatt the Fiend at Royal Rumble. After just 2 minutes, Corbin's cronies hit the ring and subsequently get handled by both D-bry and the Miz. But the ref had already called for the bell, basically a no contest, and still we don't have a challenger for Bray at the Rumble. So again, this was an ongoing theme throughout the night. Later on in the main event, we would finally have a conclusion. A Moment of Bliss is up next with Nikki Cross and special guest Lacey Evans. This whole schmaz just leads into a tag match, Lacey Evans and Dana Brooke taking on Sasha Banks and Bayley. Sasha Banks makes Dana Brooke tap out via the bank statement, so at least that was good to see. The tag match, I didn't need to see. The Moment of Bliss, we all didn't need to see. But Sasha Banks performing, that's something we all, or most of us anyway, love seeing. And Sasha Banks winning brings a smile to all of our faces. So, again, it's a beggars can't be choosers type situation. Sasha Banks is performing, Sasha Banks is winning. That's what needs to happen in this world. And, in the process, your champion Bayley ends up being a winner. Hey, there's a concept. Your champion won a match. That's something this company doesn't always fucking make happen. I wish Sasha Banks there was more for her right now. Don't you guys, though? I feel like she's just the sidekick to Bayley yet again. There needs to be more for Sasha every single time Sasha Banks is in a high-profile women's match. It captivates us, correct? And there's a reason for that. It's because Sasha Banks is captivating. But every time she captivates us and then that feud is over, Vince just puts her right back into obscurity or as a sidekick. And that's the shit that it's getting old. Sasha's too good for this shit. You know, put her in those big-time feuds, big-time storylines, big-time matches. Sasha Banks has yet to not deliver. She always delivers. And every time she delivers and captivates the wrestling world, she's put right back as a sidekick. Or not even seen. Placed in obscurity, in irrelevancy. She's too fucking good, and she shows it time and time again. Put her where she deserves to be, dog. Fucking A. Instead, they're trying to make Lacey Evans this new big fucking deal. Lacey Evans! Over Sasha? Charlotte Flair is a 116-time champion already? Becky 2 belts will probably become Becky 4 belts somehow? And Sasha Banks has what? A SmackDown tag team match victory in the middle of SmackDown. Woo! She deserves more. She better get more in 2020. Backstage, Dolph Ziggler is hitting on Mandy Rose, and he takes the cake that Otis's mama had made, and Dolph places it on the ground, on the floor, and he totally stomps on the cake. Baron Corbin rushes over to Dolph and says, "Come on, I need you. We gotta go." And they walk off, and Mandy Rose already kind of has a little smile. She's not heartbroken at all that her present, her cake, got fucking squashed. And that's what I mean. There has to be that part of Mandy Rose that is stringing along Otis. But then when the moment arises and the big payday is upon us, she needs to screw him over. You already see little seeds being planted of that. Later on, Otis actually finds the cake all smushed, and you could kind of see his heart's a little bit broken. And that's what I mean. The sympathy will be there for Otis. You just got to trust in the storyline and trust in the process that it's going to take to get us to the ultimate payoff. This brings us to the main event. That is up next with a triple threat, Daniel Bryan, Corbin versus Miz. Winner takes on Bray Wyatt at the Rumble. This thing turned into a complete chaos in no time. Dolph interferes, Roman interferes. When it was all said and done, D-bry taps out the Miz. And all of this was just to get us to the rematch between Bray and Bryan that we already knew we were getting at Royal Rumble. So in the end, we just went through this whole sideshow just to get us to what we already knew. On one hand, you could say, well, BC, at least they put some time into making it a little interesting, right? They're not just announcing the rematch. Yes, I agree with you in that aspect. But here's my question. Can't we just get more creative with it? That's the best they had? This start, stop, finish, start, stop, finish, start, stop, 3 times last night. That's the best they had? Just to get us to the conclusion that we already knew was going to happen? Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt? I just ask, can we get more creativity from this company? Can we demand that the company be better than just giving us the run-of-the-mill BS that we already see coming from a mile away? That's my question. It's rhetorical. Of course we can. They just won't put in the time and effort and focus and detail. The attention that these stories deserve, they won't put it in. And when you're not willing to put in the work, it's going to show in your finished product. Now, post-match, Bray appears on the Tron and asks Bryan if he's willing to do everything it takes at the Rumble, if he's willing to let him in. Daniel Bryan looks at the crowd, and he begins a massive yes chant in unison, and SmackDown goes off the air with a resounding yes chant. Not horrible. A little bit more of a cliffhanger would have been cool. But this is for everybody that says they're using Bray too much. He's being overexposed. But there you go. Past couple of weeks, Bray Wyatt hasn't even been hitting that ring. Maybe a Tron appearance here and there. That's it. Last week, I think, is just music played or his diabolical laughter. And then this week, a little bit of a Tron appearance. So for anyone that said he was being overexposed, there you go. Several weeks, no Bray. In fact, you didn't even get The Fiend at the last pay-per-view. You got Rogers Bray Wyatt. So that's what I mean, man. I think they're doing pretty good with him. Again, a little bit more of a cliffhanger would have been cool, but I'll take that. Overall, not a horrible SmackDown, by the way. I don't know how you guys got the vibes from my review. I know I was amplified on certain things, but all in all, not bad. The six-man schmoz match actually delivered a damn good match. The Carmella and Mandy Rose match, actually, I loved watching it as a reviewer because you see the improvements of Mandy Rose, and they actually didn't do that bad together. So that was good to see. I love seeing improvements. The Otis and Mandy Rose storyline, I'm actually into. Watching Sasha Banks win a match is something that should have been happening all along, but when it does happen, I got to take that to heart and appreciate it. So that was actually good. And just seeing Daniel Bryan back as the yes Daniel Bryan, that's a good sight to see. It's been long overdue, I feel. So there was some good on this show. I just... You know, when you're ending 2019, I had zero expectations for this show. I thought they were just going to literally just call it in. But they tried some stuff. So, can't totally hate on that. That was SmackDown. And now we can start the whole fucking new year. In January 2020 is upon us. I might have an impromptu video early next week. So be on the lookout. But if I don't, either way, I hope you guys have a good new year. Make your fucking resolutions and make sure that you're willing to kick 2020's ass even more so than you did in 2019. I'll talk to you guys next week, no doubt. I don't know exactly when, but I will be talking to you guys. I don't know what Raw has planned for their Monday show, so I don't know if I'm going to fully review that. But again, as long as you guys are subscribed to the channel, you'll be the first ones to know. And notified, obviously. Press the little fucking bell, but YouTube is so fucking broke that we don't know if it's actually going to work. But start smashing shit, and you'll be notified. The Amplified Man, kick this weekend's ass. Amplified style. Check you later.